We're going to be looking at descriptive versus inferential statistics. In order to do statistics, it's important that we understand some fundamentals. First, we need to understand what a variable is. A variable is a characteristic or attribute that can assume different values. Hair color, your score on a test, or your shoe size are all examples of variables. When we do statistics, it is often to predict something based on how variables behave. Second, collecting information as values is what we call a data set. Data is just a collection of values. For example, a collection of hair colors or a collection of test scores would be considered data. They are examples of various states a variable can assume. For example, our variable may be test scores, and any particular test score, such as 90 or 19, would just be a data value, part of our data set, a specific instance of what the variable can be. Third, collecting data comes in two forms. Say we have a test and we get back the score of every person who took this test. In this case, we have population data, or in other words, we have every way the variable expresses itself in the group. Sampling, on the other hand, only takes a portion of these values from the group. For example, let's say that this test is given in every community college in the nation. Now it is much more difficult to get every value, so we may collect tests from only some of the schools and use this to do statistics to predict something about all the schools in the nation. In many cases, sampling is the only practical option. There are two main types of statistics that we alluded to at the beginning. Those are inferential and descriptive. Inferential statistics is all about making inferences. Its whole purpose is to take sample data and generalize it to the population level. It's going to be the main thing that we look at in this course. Say we have a sample of some people who say their favorite color is orange versus any other color. We may generalize this data to a larger population and infer something about the percentage of people whose favorite color is orange on the population level. There are many techniques and theories about how to properly do inferential statistics to justify the generalization, and that's what we're going to be looking at in this course. Descriptive statistics, on the other hand, does not try to generalize data, but instead simply displays information about the data. For example, what's the average? What's the most common value? These types of numbers, these types of descriptions of the data are what we call descriptive statistics, and they are going to be very necessary as we do inferential statistics. We'll have to find things about the sample that describe the sample that we found. We're going to use that to generalize. So descriptive statistics is kind of built into inferential statistics. Note that the way data is collected is very important. If one collects data improperly, you may get a bias in your data, meaning that the data was collected in a way that skews how the variable actually behaves. For example, say you want to know the average amount spent at a grocery store on the national level. You then go to your local grocery store and ask each person how much they spent on the way out. You then use this data to state something about the average amount spent on a national level. Your data has several issues at this point. First, your data was a very small portion of the population, which actually isn't a problem so long as you collect it correctly. For example, you only went to your local area, so your data is only going to reflect your local area. Second, there are a bunch of lurking variables you probably didn't consider that will influence how much is spent. For example, did you go on a holiday that would encourage a certain group of people to go to the store more or less on that day? Was there a special sale going on in something in the store that increased spending in an unusual way? These lurking variables can sometimes be quite challenging to eliminate and predict, but they're the kinds of things that we need to be aware of when we're collecting data to ensure that we're going to get an accurate representation of the average spending at a grocery store on a national level.